Hey, I'm just going to talk about, not be too morbid, but death. So these ideas of, idea of afterlife, and just my own thought process of, I suppose it's coming from an angle of an atheist, because I grew up in an atheistic scientific materials household, and I'm just looking at things that get you to think. So here I've drawn, these are just like my own little notes to remind me. So we've got two brains here. I just thought, imagine this is you, this is your brain. What if, okay, so scientists or the biologists, we say, consciousness comes from you because of the chemical compound and neurons and everything in your brain, and that's why you are you. What if, say, imagine a brain or a you was made absolutely 100% perfectly identical? Would you exist in both? So it's consciousness and it's your consciousness, and it's in both. So you're over here in, say, cafeteria, and you're also over here skydiving. So that would be quite strange, especially if you make multiple, like lots more brains that are 100% a perfect replica, absolutely, utterly. So here we are. So imagine these dots are all brains as well. So all these brains is one consciousness, and it's you. So you've been replicated, because what makes you you is because of the chemical compound, the neural connections and everything else, and it's all perfect, and being replicated in all these hundreds and hundreds of the brains. So does that mean you exist in all them? Now it's quite strange. It's strange if that's the case, and it's strange if it isn't the case. It's strange if that's the case, because you say, okay, so what's specifically chosen you to be you? This is going to be you, and if the brain was, or anything else is slightly different, so here's a different brain, lots of circles in it for some reason, and so, hey, that isn't you because it's a different chemical compound. So what is it? So this is like just a thought, open question thought. What is it that makes you you? So what's decided? Oh, okay, so you exist due to all this specific structure. However it goes. This is you because of this kind of structure, and you've been selected as you exist with that. And if it's slightly different, this will be someone else. And so we have this different person, and so we start thinking, okay, so what the hell's going on? And so why have you been selected with this kind of biological structure? And then if that isn't the case, you make all these perfect replicas of this biological structure, and you're not in there, then what does that mean as well? Does it mean that actually you're you because of something else and nothing to do with this replicated biological structure? But again, if it was the case that you were in all these brains, what selected you to be in that specific structure? So that's just like playful thought. And over here, I've drawn sperms, you know, going to the egg. And so when you start thinking about the chances of actually coming into existence, it's, you know, hear people saying, oh, you've won the lottery of life. I mean, it's more than a lottery. So the number of sperms, it's in the billions, you know, in one ejaculation. And then think of an egg. What if the mother, you know, what if the father and the mum, you know, had intercourse at a different time? So it's a different egg, it'd be a different sperm. So again, you know, what is it that, you know, is this you? This is you meeting that egg, or are you that sperm? So is it about having the right sperm, the right egg? So it's not just that, there's also, okay, so how about mother and father before? So you got mum, dad. And then it just keeps on going, splitting, you know, over the family tree, and again and again and again, da da da, you know. So the family tree just keeps going on and on and on. So let's go right back to millions of years. So going millions of years, and then we're going billions of years. So, you know, you're going right back to, you know, the formation of the sun. Let's have some planets here. It's like the beginning, the early phases of the solar system. And then before then, you know, what was before then? It just was all gas and everything. So I'm really coming from like a atheistic kind of materialist kind of angle. So, and then how this here sort of came about from everywhere else in the universe, so how vast the universe is. And this is like this, everything almost like right from the beginning, go back to the Big Bang, pew, there we go, and everything had to like match, just be so perfect, just to get you bing right here, so you can get here, and here you are, bing. So now for some reason you come into existence because of all these chains of events, which is more than just simply natural lottery. Just imagine you've got an infinite number of dice and you keep rolling them, and you have to get all sixes constantly, you know, and you're rolling them non-stop every, I don't know, nanosecond. And every all those dice are constantly sixes. You've got to get it just bang on right. Because if one is say, you know, and these dice are like an infinite sided as well. And if one is just say a 5, oh well, you don't exist. Because something has just gone, oops, it's gone over there, and then, or this doesn't happen. And so again, you know, this is like, what's going on? This is, you know, the chances of you being you, you know, at this time as well. You know, whenever you were born. I was born in 1981. And everything, you know, it's just got to meet up at that point in time and that place as well. And then the other thing is this idea that, well, I didn't exist for billions of years. So billions of years going this way, let's go billions. And now here you are. You're alive, you won the lottery of life, and then poof, back to nothing. So, okay, so we came from nothing. What's to say it's not going to happen again? So, something, nothing. What's to say here you are again for some reason? You know, why not? Because you know, to say here you are, you're alive, and you just you know, there was nothing. So it's almost like knowing, you know, you think, oh, I'm pretty sure, you know, it definitely came from nothing. Now it could just be, we came from something, but we've got no memory. So it's like when you fall asleep, and you can't remember. So, you know, you're asleep in bed, and you're dreaming, and so there's all these like dreams that's happening, and then you're up, and your partner says, "Oh, how are you? Do you have any dreams?" And you go, "Nope, I had no dreams. It was just 1 minute I was awake. I must have just instantly fallen asleep and I woke up." So it's almost like time, you know, between waking, sleep. And so it's like, oh, there's nothing. So that's all I can remember. And then throughout the day, you know, you might see something, you might see like a cup, let's say, tap a cup, and it suddenly jogs your memory. And you go, ah, okay, yeah, I remember. I did have a dream. Yeah, so it's like a recall. So 1 minute, it's like, well, no, there's nothing. So something similar over here. So this is where I'm going to start playing around with random possibilities of what could be. I mean, if you think about the length of time, you know, we're talking eternity. So we can't really imagine that. I mean, you know, talking about billions, well, let's say Google years. In fact, no, let's think of the length of the universe from the Big Bang. Here's the Big Bang, all the way up to the last of the black holes, and it just dies, pew, gone. And so this is like the death of the universe. And so that's a long bloody time. So times that by Google cubed. So Google is 1 to the power 100. So it's got like 100 noughts. So 1 cubed, how about that? Yeah, why not? Times 1. Is that cubed? I don't know. I'm not very good with this. But anyway, so you've got this length of time, extent of the length of the universe, times that by Google cubed, and keep saying, and then times that by the number of Planck's length there are. So Planck, and if it's the smallest thing in the known universe at the moment, you can fit a hell of a lot of them in an atom. So Planck's length, yeah, and to the Planck's length in the universe. So that is a huge number, a massive number. Yeah, it's nothing, it's nowhere near close to infinity. So here's infinity. So it's not just, it's billions of years, it's forever. So in this time of foreverness, now we don't know anything really. We're almost like with this little nothing dot, and we're trying to explain everything. What we know, what we think, what we see, and so eternity, there's infinite possibility. So we go back to this possibility, the possibility. So you come from nothing into something, back into nothing, and so there's infinite possibility back into something, whatever that something is. And so just like when you're asleep and you can't remember anything, and it's like, you just instantly go back there, no matter how long that is, even more time than this, what I just said here. It's just instantly bang into here I am. So this is from like an atheistic angle, because there's theories, like what's it, where our consciousness is transmitted. So here we are, and let's have an antennae. There we go. We have an antennae sticking out of our head, and consciousness, wherever it's coming from, is coming in. So you are this. So when this goes, you're dead. Your body dies. But this, wherever this is still around. It's somewhere. And then you could be born again, something, let's say. And now here you are. So it could be to do with the chemical compound. Here we go, going back to here, which is basically the TV set. If the TV set has been remade, what are the chances of the TV set being remade? Well, quite possibly. All this infinite possibility, when the body dies, go over an infinite amount of time, the TV set might be remade, and back here you are, able to receive consciousness. That's just a thought. So one thing I've often thought, actually, is the thing that makes us different. So what is it that makes us different? So even though over here we've got all these identical brains, identical body, it's perfect identification. But the one thing that's different is the occupation. So despite everyone here being identical to each other in perfect identification, you all occupy completely different time. I made him first and him second, occupy a different time and a different space. So that's he's there and he's there. So that's one difference, and that could be quite an important phenomena of what makes you. So are we all coming from exactly the same consciousness? We're coming from the same place. All these people, or whatever, it could be plant. How about that? And aliens. Let's do aliens. So you've got aliens or crabs, whatever it is. So the thing that makes them all different is that they're all occupying a different space in time as well. So there could be an origin of consciousness, and it all comes from the same place. And so you have that concept of consciousness trying to experience itself, in the universe. And I did it's like a meditation or an active imagination journey, and I wanted to understand what's at the beginning of the universe. I won't go into too much detail, but I asked, show me something, and I had an expectation of what I was going to see. And I expected to see like lots of strange whatevers, and it was all wow, wild, crazy. That's what I expected. And what happened was that plain as day, what came through, it was just a symbol. The circle and the dot, and that was it. That's what I saw. It was like black and white, literally black and white. You got black circle with a black dot in the middle and the white background, and that's exactly what I saw. And I thought, oh, okay. I've never come across. Well, I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up and I thought, oh, okay, it's one of the oldest symbols. So, and it looks like an eye or a cell. So I'll go into that as well. But I then started to, it's almost like some sort of poem. It's like some sort of strange poem started coming through. In the beginning, there was I. In the beginning, there was I. And so the I began to reflect, self like mirror. There was I, and I saw I. I saw I. In the mirror, let's say. I saw I, and I became two. Got two eyes. Sounds like a mirror. I saw I, and I became we. I became we. So I became we saw we, so that, and it mirrored again. And it did it this way, so it was, and then I'd like more eyes over here because of the mirror, and so on and so forth. And so I suppose it's quite similar to the way an egg works, sort of keeps splitting and splitting and splitting. And so it's almost like all this, what we're seeing, the universe, is the origin, the beginning, consciousness. And it's through, so what's happened, it's almost like a mirror. It's sort of decided to reflect. Instead of that, because I used to see the universe as being like a clock, a mechanical clock. I suppose this is like the kind of thinking that you can end up having. You know, if you're influenced by Richard Dawkins, let's say, and others quite similar, like in that materialist mindset, and so it's kind of like dead, so it's just dead stuff. And through personal experiences, things weren't adding up, and then I just simply thought, sod it, I'm just going to go with just my feelings, because hey ho, why not? And this is what was coming through my active imagination. This living expression. So you start to see things as alive. So like even like mountains, they're alive. You know, there's life coming out of it. It might not be what we recognize, because we sort of give verbal definitions of what it is to be alive and then dead. But we've been on this earth for, well, humans have been on the earth for such a dot of a time compared to how long, you know, the age of the earth is. You know, so you've got the age of the earth, such a long, going on that way, and here we are, just a little speck of time. We're sort of assuming we know what's going to happen and what's happened before and what have you. And this existence here, this I, as it's split, it's almost like an, you know, because it's like an egg, there's splitting. And so this is what I suppose is what I'm convinced of. The universe is like an egg. And so here it begins as a cell, and then it's sort of spiraling into something, it's becoming something, I don't know what. In the meantime, it's experimenting, just trying out random different whatever's here and there. And each life, every life, including bacteria, the little insects, the suns, literal sun, let's do sun. Different forms of the expression of that, the eternal I. And it's almost like we're on this the great journey of the growing egg is becoming. Because if you think about it, like with the scientists talk about the expansion of the universe, they don't say it expands from one point. What they're saying is that it expands from everywhere, every point, everywhere. So it's expanding everywhere, every single place. And also, you know, when you think of the expansion, it's like, oh, what's it expanding into? Well, there's nothing there, it's just it. And so from here, from inside the egg, it looks like there's expansion, but there's this splitting that's happening. And you've got this like egg-like phenomenon. So from this, feel like a cell, because it keeps splitting, this keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it looks like everything's expanding from everywhere. And actually, the space here is just as is, and all around is transforming. And you think, oh, it's all shrinking. Anyway, that's just my own imaginal kind of thought experiment. And this is kind of, I suppose, my current journey at the moment, where it's just, as like an atheist, it's just kind of wondering, oh, hang on, what the hell's going on? And you've got like these brains here that are all identical, and then it's strange, and then the chances here going on for eternity. And my personal experience with active imagination, which I'm gonna talk about in a different video. That'll do.